Today we're going to put together a Flexispot stand-up desk. Let's go! This desk comes in two packages. The first box is the tabletop itself. The second includes this motor rod, two foot stands with adjustable feet. This smaller box is the power cables and connections. This is the right side adjustable leg and a left leg that includes the motor. The motor connects to the outlet through this 6-pin adapter. The legs connect to the feet by these 4 bolts. This is a support rod that's adjustable to the width of the desk. Finally, there are 2 separate leg mounts that offer support to the tabletop. Looking back at the smaller electrical box, inside we find the 29-volt 6-pin adapter, protective auger plates, the 7-button control panel, and a variety of bolts and screws. Overall, the provided equipment was fairly straightforward, and I soon realized after looking through the instructions that you could use pretty much any tabletop you wanted. It's a simple design, so you should be fine using a different tabletop if needed. Let's take a quick look at the tools. It looks like you only need a screwdriver or drill, as everything else is provided. The legs and feet will be connected by these bolts and will be tightened via these Allen wrenches. They go into the threaded holes in the outside corner. To get started, set it on the ground and thread the bolts. Use your fingers to get them started, then use the Allen wrench to tighten it down. Make sure you're putting it on the right way with the adjustable feet facing down. I repeated the same process for the other leg. Throw in the 4 bolts, then get them started on the threads by using your fingers and tighten it down with the Allen wrench. Don't do it too tight that it bends the metal, but make sure it's very firm. With the legs put together, I now want to adjust the width of the support rod in the middle. First, measure the width of your tabletop, but leave a few inches from the edge so that there's room for the support plates. Once I know how wide the table will be, I remove these bolts and pull apart the support rod to the right length. Now this next part is much easier done if you have 2 people. Luckily for me, I found a highly skilled worker who appeared to be on holiday from a certain school of witchcraft and wizardry. Can't say for certain as the topic never came up. Together we were able to place a support beam between the 2 table legs and secure it down through the 2 bolts on both sides. It's important that all the bolts are firmly tightened or else the desk will wiggle. To prevent the desk from shaking, we went back a second time and tightened all the bolts again. And remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Now that the frame is built, we're going to put up this auger rod and connect it to the motor. Double check that the frame is the right width for the tabletop, then secure the 2 bolts for the support beam. With the support beam secure, I'm going to place the rod into the socket and stretch it out to the width of the table. I then attach it to the motor via this nylon gear, then I'll go back and tighten down the rod. Once that is secure, I go back and tighten down the nylon gear. To complete the setup of the frame, I'm going to finally put on these support plates. Now these can go either direction. I put them inward as my tabletop fits perfectly that way. With the frame complete and stretched out to the right length, we can now flip it over and put it on the tabletop. But before we do, I want to share out what I listened to for this project, and today it was The Richest Man in Babylon. Behold, controlleth thine expenditures, and ye shall be happy. Good advice. So to connect the frame to the tabletop, I'm going to flip it over so that these holes are exposed. I carefully placed the frame to avoid scratching the table, and I aligned it so that there's 1 hole remaining on the top and bottom. Next step is to use the grabber screws and tighten them all down. You can use a drill, but a screwdriver was easy enough. With the frame secured to the top, I again tightened the auger nut, then tightened the screws on the support rod to the tabletop. Next, I put on these safety plates to prevent anything from getting caught in the motor rod. Next, I'm going to put on the control panel. You can align it to the left or right side of the table. I put mine on the left. Don't screw it too tight that it breaks the plastic frame. Let's now put on the AC adapter. I put the screws in, but not too tight so that I can make sure it is level and straight. You can put it in any location on the table, but just be aware of the cables that would be running past the motor rod. Once there, I tighten it down and plug in the cables. For cable management, I use these twisty ties and secure it so it's clean and organized. Plug in the remaining cables and also secure it so nothing is hanging out. Included with the table are these cable ties. Slide the tie through the opening and pull it down to hold the cables. They stick through the table via this sticker. I put them throughout the table where I did not want the cables to be hanging down. It's very important to spend a few minutes to organize the cables so that nothing gets caught in the motor and you don't accidentally unplug something when sitting down. Taking a few minutes to manage the cables made this look really clean. Now we're ready to flip it over and make sure everything looks right. The table was very sturdy and felt very well put together. Now let's plug it in and try out the control panel. The table is operated through these buttons here. You can automatically adjust to 3 separate heights and assign it to one of the numbers. I was very impressed with how smoothly the table went up and down, and its max height of 48 inches was very tall. It's a perfect height as it keeps things out of reach and prevents unwanted attacks on the keyboard. This turned out to be a fantastic, inexpensive desk. I'm not sponsored in any way, but I highly recommend it. I hope this video helped you, and thanks so much for watching.